Members, it is the appointed time for the meeting. Sorry, speaker not coming through. Sorry, speaker not coming through to the interpreters. I call the meeting to order. There are 3 sessions today to deal with items on the agenda. Sorry, speakers not coming through to the interpreters. Sorry, speakers not coming through. I will give you time to seek clarification or elucidation, and also to raise points of order. I will ask you about that. Please do not disturb the order. I will talk about simple arrangements for the meetings, and then please raise your hands and you will be able to ask questions. There are 3 sessions today to deal with the items on the agenda. After the first session, at 5:30 p.m., there will be a break of 10 minutes. The second session will start at 5:40. After the completion of the second session, there will be half an hour for meals, and then we'll conduct the third session. I'd like to remind members here that if members have direct or indirect pecuniary interests relating to the items on the agenda today, please act according to ROP 33A and disclose the nature of the relevant interest before speaking on the items. Also like to draw your attention to ROP 84 with regard to the requirements on voting in the case of direct pecuniary interest. You have received the items for the 3 sessions today. Item 1, FCR, bracket 2014-15, bracket 4. Mr. Lee Cheuk-yen. Chairman, a point of order. About which paragraph in the procedure, please? I'm talking about ROP 10. Or procedures, para 10, that the chairman could call urgent meetings to deal with special issues. I have written to you last week asking you to deal with the vote of no confidence in Ng Leung Sing, but you have not dealt with it. That is why I'm asking you to act according to para 10 of the procedures for the Finance Committee, and that is to hold a special meeting to deal with this urgent item. Why is this an urgent item? This is because you have been acting unfairly in chairing the meetings, and that is why the Legislative Council has been shamed, and that the following agenda items will not be dealt with in a way that would convince the public that they would be dealt with in a fair and just environment. I would also ask you to declare the vote on the NTNE taken last week invalid, and that you should resign immediately to return fairness to the Council. Your very assistance is offensive to this Council. I will now answer you. Your relevant motion, according to the timing you asked about, I could not deal with it before the 25th as you wanted, but I have asked the clerk to identify a special meeting time to deal with it. I have already replied to you. We had wanted to hold a meeting on the 8th of July, but members cannot attend. That is why it will be held on the 24th. But still, that is not a fixed date. But today, I have heard from the clerk that on the 9th of July at 8:30, a Wednesday, from 8:30 to 10:30, there is this time slot. And it only clashes with a Bills Committee meeting. That is the time we have arranged for dealing with your motion. Sorry, Mr. Lee Cheuk-yen not coming through to the interpreters. I will reiterate. that if motions have nothing to do with the agenda items for today, then those items on the agenda will come first. As to other matters, including members' motions, they will be dealt with in the special meeting, and the quickest time that we can find is 8:30 to 10:30 on Wednesday next week. I hope members will attend to that notice. Sorry, Mr. Lee Cheuk-yen, not coming through. I think you have finished. Now we go into the agenda. Sorry, speaker's not coming through. Speaker's not coming through. Now we go into. Please return to your seats, Mr. Lee Cheuk-yen. Mr. Lee Cheuk-yen. Mr. Lee Cheuk-yen, please return to your seat. Please return to your seat immediately, or else you would be guilty of grossly disorderly conduct. Mr. Lee Cheuk-yen, please return to your seat. Mr. Lee Cheuk-yen, please leave the meeting room. Mr. Lee Cheuk-yen, please withdraw from the committee room. Mr. Lee Cheuk-yen, please withdraw from the meeting room. Meeting is suspended for 10 minutes.
Let's resume the meeting. Just now, I discussed with the clerk and the secretariat. We have reviewed the videotape, and I issued a warning to Mr. Lee Chak-yan's behavior, and then I issued an order. This is very clear and not ambiguous, and members should not leave their seats and then come up to the chairman's seat. So I made a decision to ask Mr. Lee Chak-yan to leave the meeting room. Mr. Gary Fan. The voting on NENT is invalid. Mr. Ng Leung Sing resign. Mr. Gary Fan, please return to your seat. Now, if Mr. Gary Fan, you don't return your seat, then you are behaving in a most disorderly manner. Mr. Gary Fan, please leave the meeting room immediately. Ng Leung Sing, step down. The NENT voting result should be invalid. Ng Leung Sing, step down. The voting on NENT project is invalid. Invalid voting result on NENT project. Ms. Sit-ho, please return to your seat. Please, Ms. Sit-ho, return to your seat, or else I will deem your behavior as unruly. Ms. Sit-ho, please return to your seat, or else I will rule that you behave in a disorderly way. Or I am asking you to leave the meeting room, Ms. Sit-ho. Ng Leung Sing, step down. Ng Leung Sing, step down. Resign. Mr. James To, please leave the meeting room immediately. Ng Leung Sing, resign. 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 Ms. Claudia Mo, please leave the meeting room immediately. Ms. Claudia Mo, leave the meeting room immediately. Ms. Claudia Mo. I have made a ruling on the behavior just now. I think the behavior is not orderly, so I've asked them to leave the meeting room. Mr. Albert Chan, please take your seat. I have made the decision, and I have made a clear ruling on all the behavior just now. So let's move back to the agenda proper. Mr. Albert Chan, please take your seat before you speak. And according to Rule 39, I would ask that the discussion be adjourned. Adjourning what? The proceedings should be adjourned. Please repeat your motion. Mr. Albert Chan, what is your motion? Please repeat it. At the very beginning, before you ordered the members to leave the room, you have already declared that we should deal with the agenda item 1, and that is on FCR 2014-15-4, and that is about Head 158, Government Secretary Education Bureau. I request that the further proceedings be adjourned in accordance with Rule 39 of the Rules of FC. My reason is that Lang Seng, you as a chairman, you are not being fair, and you are bringing shame to this meeting room. Please go back to the item. Well, that's all related because it has to do with the expenditure, and then that has everything to do with the chairman who is conducting the meeting. So the chairman, in terms of financial and operation and holding the meeting, if we think you're inappropriate, well, please return to the agenda item, and that is Government Secretariat Education Bureau. Now, you have many capacities. You are connected with the Bank of China, MTRCL, and Smart Tone, and it involves a sum of $144 million. I don't know whether the Bank of China has anything to do with the Education Bureau. No, I don't think members should speculate on the motives of other members. Well, this is not a speculation on motive. It is a fact that you are senior management level of the Bank of China. You haven't declared any interest in relation to this item. Now, you didn't admit that you have a declaration to make in relation to your capacity in Smart Tone last time. So, as a chairman, you have so many capacities, and the way you are conducting the meeting is most unacceptable too. So, for all these reasons, I think we would be raising questions on the discussion on this application funding, and members of the public would also find it the way it is dealt with is maybe unfair, and it involves an expenditure of $144 million, and it is related to the Vocational Training Council and implementing the pilot training and support scheme. I don't know whether the Bank of China is related to the VTC, and actually the banking industry is one which is also related to the VTC. I don't know whether you have any transfer of benefits and so on. Well, you see that the pro-establishment members are so rich. Well, please ask them to shut up because they are causing disturbance here, especially Mr. Chen Han-pan. He's smiling all the time. Well, he's smiling again, and he's causing disturbance when I'm speaking. So please issue a warning to them. This is going against the rules. Next one. I have 3 minutes to speak. The next one. Mr. Wong Kwok Hing, Chairman. This is an application funding for vocational training, and the Federation of Trade Unions urges strongly that this application be endorsed as soon as possible. And the opposition camp is opposing everything, and this application has been delayed for such a long time. The Pan-Democrats say that because of a shortage of manpower and there are so many projects going on, so we need to strengthen efforts in that regard. So for this funding applications, it's exactly doing that. We want to strengthen the vocational training to train more people to ease the manpower shortage. How come that he is asking for adjournment of the proceeding? Now, I think Albert Chan has double standards. Now, if he said that, Chairman, you come from the Bank of China, you have a conflict of interest, I think this kind of saying is most ridiculous. Well, many people are bank holders of bank accounts in the Bank of China. Well, is this a conflict of interest? Do you have a better reason to make an objection?
I think you have exhausted what he can say, and that is why he is saying that even if a member smiles, that would be some disturbance to what he is saying. That is purely because he has no grounds to raise the objection. Whether they are asking for suspension or adjournment, I think they are just employing delaying tactics. They are filibustering. We only have 2 more dates for the Finance Committee meetings. We have dozens of items in the queue. Here in front of me, please hold. Mr. Albert Chan, what is your point of order? When I spoke, you interrupted me many times saying that what I spoke had nothing to do with this item. Now Mr. Wong Kwok Hing is not addressing the item at all, but you did not warn him, you did not stop him. Well, yes, this is a point of order. Like you, he would be just touching upon the item. So I'm treating the 2 of you equally. I am allowing both of you to touch upon the item somewhat, but please do not digress too much. I have already dealt with that point. Please do not speak anymore. Mr. Wong Kwok Hing, please come back to the item under discussion. Mr. Chairman, I respect your ruling. Actually, all along, I have never deviated from the item. I am not only touching upon the item. My speech is seriously pointing out the necessity, the importance, and the time factor of this funding request. After this item, there are dozens more items, especially item 18, which is to provide a month rent waiver for PRH residents. That is a pressing item. If the opposition party, if the Pan Democrats will again employ different tactics to filibuster, then all residents and all citizens in Hong Kong will stand to lose. The workers are waiting for vocational training, and if this item is delayed, they will be harmed. Next one. Dr. Fernando Zhang. Chairman, Mr. Albert Chan is proposing a motion to adjourn the meeting. I think that is a very important motion. Because, Chairman, you just are not qualified. Please come back to this item. Yes, I am. If there will not be immediate adjournment and for us to discuss the vote of no confidence in you, well, we are talking about adjourning this item. Yes, exactly. I'm talking about adjourning the item. I'm asking for adjourning this item so we can go directly and immediately to the vote of no confidence in you. In the past few weeks, your chairmanship has brought shame upon the Legislative Council. You have deviated from the item. Please come back to this item. You allowed Mr. Wong Kwok Hing to talk about your conflict of interest. Okay, I will address that as well. Please address the item. What about a conflict of interest? Please talk about this item. What is the conflict of interest? This item has to do with vocational training. We are talking about wiring funds for young people to be trained. Of course, we want to discuss it as soon as possible, but because you are in the chair, the entire discussion will be shamed. And there is no way for us to carry on with the discussion under your chairmanship because you are unjust, you are unfair, you hit below the belt, you do not abide by the rules of procedure, you subject a vote to just 1 minute, but then you did not conclude the vote until after about 2 minutes. In the past, you had a conflict of interest, and under Sun Hung K, you are a director of a company under Sun Hung K, and that would constitute indirect pecuniary interest. We pointed out that to you many times, but you refused to declare it. Now, I don't know about this item and the items that follow whether the same situation will occur. You have played by example. You are a very bad example. If you would abide by the rules of procedure and the Finance Committee procedure, you should have declared it long ago. And when I pointed out that other members were guilty also of a conflict of interest, you did not even process those motions. You did not play by the rules. You distorted the rules. You cited 37A to say that we should not raise more motions. But then 37A does not say that you should stop accepting the motions. You did not chair the meeting in a fair way. If we carry on the discussion with you, there is no meaning, Chairman. You are just not qualified to be in the chair. Please come back to the item. Please resign soon. If you do not resign, we will just continue to challenge that you do not have the capability, that you are incompetent. This is the core issue, Chairman. I should not call you Chairman because you're really not qualified. You cannot face Hong Kong people. Mr. Leung Chi Chang. Chairman, the public expect the Legislative Council to have very high qualities, and but then the two members who spoke only pointed fingers at you. They do not have the ability to discuss or advocate items. Please come back to the item. Please just allow me to say one or two more things. I think this is unfair because they only targeted the chairman. Please come back to the item. We are talking about education issues, and yet they only targeted you, Chairman. Chairman, today Mr. Albert Chan is asking for an adjournment of the item. I think it is a wrong decision. I hope he will withdraw it. We are talking about education. I may not support the entire paper as such, but at least this pilot scheme will benefit 2,000 youngsters, so they will receive vocational training. If we adjourn the item, the funding request will not be met and the youngsters will not benefit. So Mr. Albert Chan should withdraw it, and then we do not need this discussion. Let's just pass it. And then I have a question for the Education Bureau. This is not the time to ask officials questions. There will be a time to do it. Well, yes, I can reserve the question. But now, it's very unwise for you to move this motion, because many youngsters will not be able to have this opportunity for vocational training. Mr. Albert Chan, I hope you will withdraw the motion. Next, Mr. Raymond Chan. Mr. Ng Leung Sing, I speak in support of the motion to adjourn the item to this item, grant to the Vocational Training Council for implementing the pilot training and support scheme with a new commitment of $144 million. And actually, if in the following items, whenever a motion to adjourn the item is proposed by any member, I would support it. The principle has been made known by Dr. Fernando Zhang. I will also support it. Under the public glare, you did not act as a fair referee last week, so you should not be in the chair anymore. Until the time you will step down, we will not discuss any items. Actually, last week you also said that education funding is important, and actually on Saturday I saw Eddie Ng, the Secretary for Education, in the simulated council for youngsters, and he said that it was important. But then last week, Mr. Lam Tai-fai said that we should accord priority to the 5 items. Nobody supported it. Nobody came out to say anything. Today, you say it is an urgent item. But then last week, the week before last, we were asking to adjourn the item on NENT. You did not support us so that you could put forward this non-controversial item in your views so that you could pass the funding request for VTC. Mr. Wong Kwok Heng talked about the 1-month rent waiver for PRH. Again, we think it is important. Why is it that last time when we wanted to adjourn the item on NENT, you did not support it so that the non-controversial items could go first? If you had supported the adjournment of the item on NENT, then the officials and the chairman would, of course, have to swap the items again. Now I would come back to the item 10 of the paper, saying that there will be cheap labor for training building services personnel. But we don't trust you because you're related to Sun Hung Kay. We don't know whether Sun Hung Kay is going to benefit. I'm not saying for sure, but I have the doubt. If you would leave the chair and then Miss Emily Lau will be chairing the meeting, then I might not support the motion to adjourn the item. And also there will be labor or workers who would be given $8,000 a month, so you will have to fork out a lower cost for Sun Hung Kay projects and also for Bank of China projects. So we're going to have doubts about every item. But then the major premise is when members do not trust the chairman of FC, we have so many reasons not to trust you, and the meeting just cannot go on. If you want a smooth conduct of the meeting, well, yes, we want a smooth conduct of the meeting as well. You should support the resignation of Mr. Ng Liang Seng. Mr. Lam Tai Fai and also the PRH rental and Queen Mary Hospital, we also think that those are important and urgent items. Why do you say so only today? Why not in previous weeks? I hope you will answer all my questions when you speak. Dr. Lo Wai Kwok. Thank you, Chairman. I speak in opposition to the motion to adjourn the item. I have to set the record straight. What are we talking about? This is an item requesting a new commitment of $144 million for the VTC to implement the pilot training and support scheme. Under this scheme, in the first year, there will be a full day training period, and then from the second to fourth years, it will be a study cum work period, and employers will provide at least $8,000 in monthly salary. And also from the second to the fourth years, when there is a study cum work period, actually the government will also offer each student about $2,000 on average monthly. This is very attractive scheme, and also throughout the 4-year period, both employers and industries will offer an incentive allowance of $30,800. And after the training, employers will commit to pay a minimum monthly salary of $10,500 to the students. This actually targets industries which need to engage more manpower, and also this will benefit students who intend to join these industries. And we are talking about E&M, building services, air conditioning and refrigeration, fire services, electrical engineering, etc., etc. And we are having a lot of railway projects, and these industries are where manpower is in short supply. This is a very meaningful pilot project. Maybe members are speaking from their political stance and have political aims. That is why they are moving a motion to adjourn the item. Objectively, the NENT item, after filibustering of 30 hours, and by the time of voting, some people still said that the chairman was unfair because there was not enough time. I think these attacks against the chairman are unfair, and I won't accept them. And if you have a political aim and then you stand in the way of this pilot scheme, I think it's most regrettable. And we have to make it clear to the public what we are talking about under this item. As for swapping the items, again, it is unfair. The infrastructural projects, land development, vocational training, redevelopment of hospitals, development of schools, all of them are required. So I would say we should come back to the agenda and address these funding request items in a serious manner. And if we think they should be endorsed, then we should endorse them. Let us not waste any more time. Mr. KK Fong, the Pan-Democrats are of the view that Mr. Ng Liang Seng, the way you chaired meetings in the past few weeks, show that you should not be in the chair anymore. The education request, 1 more month payment of CSSA, LIFA, and also Queen Mary Hospital development, etc., etc. All those should be endorsed as quickly as possible. All 23 Pan-Democrats support the items. So we would object to the motion to adjourn, so those items can also be dealt with efficiently.
Mr. Lam Tai Fai, I would like to spend my 3 minutes to do a report. Chairman, on the 27th of January, the Education Panel has heard the administration's briefing on the measures related to policy, education policies contained in the 2014 policy address, including measures on vocational training. And the members learned that the government proposes to provide new commitment of $144 million for the Vocational Training Council to implement the pilot training and support scheme to provide more vocational training opportunities for young people, and members don't have any objection to such a plan. Well, all of us have been saying that we should adopt a people-oriented approach and we should work for the best interest of members of the public. Now, what is happening in the past few days is that we are holding hostage members of the public and the students. And the government should advance the discussions of these items, and then the members are now trying to engage in filibustering. So how can you say that you're people-oriented and you're working for the best interest of your voters? Now, if this item doesn't get approved, then that will affect greatly and adversely the prospects of young people in Hong Kong. So don't engage in filibustering anymore. Act from a clear conscience. Now, if you want to do filibustering, do it on the project, on the 3 landfills, 1 incinerator projects. Please don't move the motion to adjourn the discussion on this item. Who to speak? Mr. Raymond Wong. Chairman, I approve in principle the funding. Now, the minimum wage is $8,000 only, and then the upon graduation, the monthly salary is $10,500. I think the amount should be raised to improve people's lives. Now, I have moved 18,000 motions. Now, I moved 10,000 amendments last time, and then you drew a line there, and then my amendments were dismissed. So I handed in my amendments yesterday, and you must deal with them because you didn't draw a line. Now, I'm going to seek a judicial review on your drawing the line last time, and next Monday I will be giving it an oath at the court. Now, if you don't deal with my proposals today, then I am going to seek a judicial review again. Now, don't be afraid that I will hurl a drinking glass again. Now, you must deal with this 18,000 motions. I'm not trying to delay the funding application, but rather you're drawing a line. Now, he can resort to 37A to deal with all the motions. So it's useless that we tried filibustering. 37A gives us a right. Well, let's return to the agenda item. And if you don't fight for your right under 37A and let him draw a line and you stayed silent, now I'm raising this time again 18,000 motions. So you can kill me, one person, but then that doesn't do any good to the situation. And, well, hundreds of thousands of people may lay on the street and, fight against you again. So I do have a reason to fight against you. Now, Chairman, please deal with my 18,000 motions immediately. Tell the public how are you going to deal with it. If you don't deal with it properly, then I will sue you. Well, let me correct you. It's 14,000. Well, there is another 4,000 up there. Well, it doesn't make a difference, the two numbers. If you can deal with them, 3,000 of them only, then I would be all right. Next one, Mr. Kenneth Leung. Chairman, I think it's the way you dealt with 37A last time was totally wrong. I don't know how you are going to deal with Mr. Raymond Wong's 14,000 amendments. Members under 37A can move more than one amendment. But I don't agree with Mr. Raymond Wong of raising 14,000 amendments at this stage, at this juncture. It would be impossible for the chairman to read through all of them. Chairman, can you clarify how come that the way you're conducting the meeting today is so very different from that of last week or the last week? Do you have another set of rules this time? Now, on the NENT project, I didn't raise any substantive comments, and you didn't allow me to speak for 1 minute. And for all these amendments, why didn't you announce the 1 minute rule this time, and why did you do so last time? If you think that the issues are so pressing, why didn't you do it? Why don't you do it this time? So I questioned whether you had the right to draw up the 1 minute rule last time. So that's my first question. Another question, I myself also hope that many of the funding applications can be scrutinized ASAP and voted on ASAP. But we spent a lot of time asking in previous meetings to advance these items before the item on NENT, but everybody disagreed on that. And then we've got only 2 weeks left in this session, and we're trying to rush things through. But then the chairman was not cooperating this time. Why doesn't he set a 1 minute rule today? How come that he is acting on a different set of rules today? The Pan-Democrats believe that these items should be discussed and passed ASAP. But then at the same time, we want to uphold our rights under 37A. And then Mr. Raymond Wong has the absolute right to move these 14,000 amendments. I may not agree with the content of these amendments, but then, Chairman, I also feel that you are adopting different rules in hosting different meetings. Chairman, can you explain why? Or generally 3 minutes. Mr. Martin Liao. I would like to come back to this agenda item on the funding. Mr. Leung Yu-chung, question on rules? Yes, I would like this to be clarified. What kind of rules? Mr. Raymond Wong said clearly that he has moved 14,000 amendments. Well, we will deal with them when we get to that stage. Yes, Chairman. I have to decide on whether I would support the discussion be adjourned, and that is very related. Now, if you are going to deal with these amendments, then I think that the meeting should be adjourned. If you're not going to deal with them, then there is no need to adjourn the meeting. So please tell us clearly how are you going to deal with this situation. I don't think this is a point of order. Please hand them over to our staff. The next one, Mr. Martin Liao. I want to talk about this funding application. I would like to clarify something via yourself. In paragraph 17 of the paper, are we still on the motion on adjournment of the proceedings? Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. I thought that starting from Mr. Lam Tai-Fai's speech, we already started discussion on the item specifically. Mr. Chen Han-pan? I was just jotting down some notes, and I was smiling. And then it seems that Pan-Democrats prohibited me from smiling. I think this is really outrageous. Well, people are disallowing me to smile. Is there a rule prohibiting members from smiling? Now, last week, you gave 1 minute to members to speak, and they said that it was shameful. And then now you gave 3 minutes today, and then they say that why isn't it 1 minute this time? So I think it's quite very arbitrary. I think if we give training to young people while they are working and they're giving a subsidy, I think this is a very good thing and very important too. In our previous discussions at our meetings, we hope that there will be a dual-track system. Then young people can study and work at the same time. And we're now having a subsidy scheme, a pilot scheme for them. Now, how come that we are engaged in filibustering on that? Well, some 10,000 amendments raised. Now, some Pen Democrats said that they are going to support the application, but then they are trying to stir up trouble here. Now, if they continue to stir up trouble, it means that they are adopting double standards. Let's, Mr. Wong Kok Kin. This is an education subject, is a vocational, on-the-job training. I think the political atmosphere is quite unpleasant, and members are very have a strong objection to yourself. But if we are opposing the item, those who are going to suffer are not yourself, but rather those waiting for the scheme. Now, if we hold up this item, then the other items related to welfare will also be put on hold as well. So, for members who would try to hold up the discussion, please don't do that. Now, if you want to pinpoint or scold the chairman, please do so, but don't hold up the discussion of certain items. Next one, Mr. Chen Kim-po. Thank you, Chairman. And now we have to do a good job, and we're not here to quarrel. So members dislike the way you dealt with NENT project funding application. They can take you to the court for it. But let's try to focus on this on the issues on hand. There are some 35 funding applications here, and 18 of them have to do with the poor, the elderly, and so on. And item 28 has to do with the redevelopment project of Queen Mary Hospital. This is something that we should work on as members. We want to argue, do it somewhere else. Now, there is also the application for extra month pay for the elderly. Now, if we can't deal with it in a timely manner, then they may have to be held up until the next year. And now for the subsidy or the commitment for the VTC, now Lam Tai Fai was jumping the queue to speak on it. He was so very agitated, and education is so very important, and we must do it and approve it ASAP, and then I think the members of the public will thank us for doing that. Mr. Yip Kwok Kim, let's not been acting on emotions. Of course, we have differing views. So please put the public's welfare foremost in what we're doing. Mr. Frederick Fong just said that he hopes that items related to livelihood issues should be dealt with, and we should cast aside our differences and take a pragmatic approach, and then support whatever is worth supporting. Let's not procrastinate anymore. Mr. Chen Kim-po also said that the impact is going to be great, and it has everything to do with the welfare of Hong Kong people. 37A, there may be a dispute, but let's resort it through a normal or ordinary manner, and I hope that Mr. Raymond Wong, you can withdraw the 14,000 motions. If we go on like this, we won't be able to deal with what is needed to be dealt with. Now, we won't be able to complete our scrutiny work, even if we have in the next 2 sessions. Well, we may have different political views, but I urge you not to act. Well, I urge you not to act on your emotions, and let's work together.
Mr. KK Fong has already related the views of the Pan Democrats just now. I think we all know that. I hope we can work together. Next, Priscilla Leung, Chairman. I also hope members will not lump one thing with another. In recent days, in this last week, I have heard many members of the public say they are disappointed with the Legislative Council. What we are discussing here is basically uncontroversial. Talking about 37A and 39 of the Finance Committee procedure, Chairman, I support the analysis of the legal advisor. I also truly believe that so-called amendments must be limited to a reasonable limit and a reasonable standard. There is case law overseas that the motions should be within a reasonable limit. And even if you want to filibuster, you should not submit 14,000 motions without notice in order to paralyze the Finance Committee. Please cut it short. Well, but I have to lay my point clearly. Well, I don't think you should take this to the court, but if you want to, so be it. I think you should separate matters. We are now talking about education. If you say no to this and you cause an opposition, you are not going to allow things to progress. Let us give way to this item so members of the public will know that we are operating normally. Ms. Alice Mack, Chairman. Within the agenda this time around, items 17 and 20 have to do with community projects in Kwai Ching, especially item 20. Some money is requested for supporting elderly people in Kwai Ching to have dental treatment. Actually, many members have said on different occasions that the Hong Kong dental services are grossly lacking. If the District Council can do something to help residents to give them dental care, and I remember in previous meetings, please come back to this motion to adjourn the item. Well, that is why I want to say, Chairman, I hope members will bear the public interest in mind. Give them the livelihood they need. Please do not resort to motion to adjourn, and please do not lump thousands of amendments to hold up these items. So we won't support the motion to adjourn so that our elderly people can have better dental care. I hope members will support these items related to people's livelihood. Mr. Alan Leong, Chairman. Actually, the convener of the Pan Democrats, Mr. KK Fong, has spoken, and I thought that the motion to adjourn should be voted upon. But regrettably, if you're talking about filibustering, the pro-establishment camp is filibustering. They are standing in the way of a vote on the motion to adjourn. Mr. Chairman, people who had taken part in the 7 or July 1st protest, you were one main character in that protest march because you did not use this Legislative Council as a platform to narrow differences and a channel to forge a consensus. Rather, please come back to this item. Rather, you are riding roughshod on the people. Chairman, at the beginning of the meeting, some Pan Democrats showed you the red card, hoping that you will resign on your own volition. But if you are recalcitrant, please come back to the item, Chairman. If you are recalcitrant, then we have no way to deal with you. But just now, our convener has already publicly said, Mr. Please come back to this item. Yes. We have the people's livelihood in mind. We are talking about this Government Secretariat Education Bureau to support a pilot scheme, and also in the queue we have Queen Mary Hospital redevelopment, etc. Since we have our mind on those items. Mr. KK has already represented us to state our stance that we are not going to take part in the filibuster, that we are not going to support the motion to adjourn. And if Mr. Raymond Wong, in accordance with 37A, to move 14,000 motions to adjourn without notice, we are not going to support them. This is clear. I hope I will be the last one speaking on the motion, and I hope the chairman will put the motion to adjourn to the vote. A point of order. Yes, Mr. Raymond Wong. Just now, Mr. Alan Leong said that they would not support them. It doesn't matter, but you still have to process them. Well, if they do not support, they can vote against those. Well, we will deal with that later on. I hope the Pan Democrats will state it clearly. Sorry, the speaker's not coming through. Okay, I think you have completed what you have to say. Mr. Albert Chan, you can respond, and you have 1 minute. Yes, your stance is clear. Sorry, speaker not coming through to the interpreters. Mr. Alan Leong, your stance is clear. Mr. Albert Chan, 1 minute for you to respond. Thank you, Chairman. I never thought that out of 17 members who have spoken, there were 9 from the pro-establishment camp. In other words, the pro-establishment camp took up more time than the Pan Democrats. So if they criticize that we are standing in the way of this funding request, I think you are crying foul. And in fact, you are filibustering. You are trying to speak in order to delay the progress of the meeting, and then if fewer items are endorsed, then they can dump the responsibility on ourselves. So this is minuted. 9 pro-establishment camp members spoke, and including myself, there were only 8 Pan-Democrats who spoke. Therefore, you wasted and you used more time than we did. If there are fewer items endorsed, then it is your responsibility, but I would support and echo Mr. Lam Tai Fai's appeal. I thought that if this would be lost, and at the next item, I would move a motion to adjourn the meeting. But since Mr. Lam Tai Fai appealed, okay, you have finished. Next one. If no other members wish to speak, the motion would be put to the vote. That this committee decide to adjourn the item FCR 2014-15-4. Will those in favor please raise their hands? The division bell will ring for 5 minutes. The meeting is still in progress. Order, please. There is 1 more minute. May I remind members that this is a motion to adjourn item FCR bracket 2014-15 bracket 4. Now let's put the motion to the vote. Members, please check your votes. Voting is closed. Please display the results. 51 members for, 3 for, 47 against, 0 abstentions. The motion is not carried. So let's carry on with item FCR bracket 2014-15 bracket 4. Members who would like to raise questions with the administration, please press the request to speak button. Mr. Lam Tai Fai, I'd like to make a verbal report. Yes, please make the verbal report again. Chairman, the education panel at its meeting on the 27th of January heard the briefing on the education-related issues in the policy address of 2014 by the Chief Executive, including many measures in order to strengthen or step up vocational training. Members noted that the administration plans to start a new initiative of $144 million in order to implement the pilot training and support scheme so that there would be more opportunities for youngsters to seek or pursue vocational development. Members did not raise any objection to the issue, and I hope members will support the funding request. There are members trying to raise questions. Mr. Ip Kin Yun. Mr. Ip Kin Yun. Chairman, this is a pilot scheme. This is the least controversial coming from the Education Bureau. It is also a very good scheme. First of all, to say that I support it. The characteristic of this scheme is that it deals with industries that are not successful in attracting young people to join them. It actually allows young people to study and at the same time join the industries so that we can nurture more young people who would be working in these industries. I think that to young people, if they can study a course for knowledge and at the same time they can work, I think it will be very attractive to them, and you can also nurture the talents for Hong Kong.
And I think we're talking about sectors like building services, air conditioning, refrigeration, which are quite suitable for courses to be organized by the VTC, and it's difficult for secondary schools to organize such training. So I have several suggestions to make. First, some members already mentioned this. In Germany, Switzerland, such a model of training has proved successful, so we can take reference from those. And one important feature is that the sector is participating heavily in such programs. We need participation from the government, the VTC, and also the trades. The trade is important in that they should provide internship programs, and they would also be in a position to assess the performance of the students so they can participate in that regard. So I think we should emphasize that in the program. And also, for each student, the government will be investing quite an amount in their study. If the pilot scheme is successful in providing manpower for the trades, then the trades we can consider asking the trades to show them more financially and lessen the financial burden on the government. And the program will still stay attractive to the trainees, and the government's financial burden can be reduced. This is an additional expenditure item on the part of the government, and I think the VTC still has to play what it is paying already, and then some $100,000 over 4 years to be spent on each student, so it's quite an amount. So I think we can improve on that later on in the future. Next one, Mr. Tony Chair. Chairman, how many minutes do we get? Oh, 4 minutes. Thank you. Committing more resources to provide vocational training and education to young people. I support that, so I support the pilot program. Now, whether the scheme is successful depends not just on the resources, but also whether enterprises can provide training opportunities to the participants. So my question is for the administration, is that in choosing what kind of trades and what kind of companies will participate in the program, what kind of criteria would you be adopting? We hope that companies can provide suitable jobs to the youngsters so that they can get good training and can stay in the trade. Also, has the government estimated whether SMEs can also participate in the scheme? Will they be enthusiastic in participating in the scheme? Secretary, thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Member. This is a very good question. As what Mr. Yip and other members said, we should start working with the trades and then work with the VTC and to provide internship and on-the-job training. I think that's a special feature of this pilot scheme. Now, in selecting specific trades, well, the VTC has a lot of programs which are organized in cooperation with the trades, and 3 out of the 4 years will actually involve study come work. So perhaps I'll defer to the VTC colleague to explain their collaboration with the trades. So, Mr. Poon So Ping. Oh, all right, VTC to elaborate. Thank you, Chairman. For the kinds of trades we select, we have a certain criteria. When a trade is running short of manpower, it is aging, and it has difficulties in retaining young people, then these are the trades we will select. And the trades also involve people of different skills, and then the trades should undertake to provide bursaries and also to provide jobs at a certain salary level to the participants. We have 21 ITACs, and we will consult them before we pin down on the trades and industries for the scheme. I hope that the government can pay attention to this. As what the Secretary said, the trade has a very important role to play in ensuring that the scheme is successful. I hope that you can do a good job in selecting the companies. Now, if certain companies are not that stable in their business and they may close down, say in the middle of the program, then that is going to deal a blow to the young people working in their companies. So I hope that the government and the VTC in selecting the partners pay attention to this. Mr. Pan Xiaoping. Thank you, Chair. Chairman. I support this scheme. I have two questions. The first year, the subsidy lasts for only 11 months. How come it's only 11 months and not 12 months? Also, the scheme provides training programs free of charge to the Form 3 leavers. We also, of course, hope to attract more young talents in various trades. So can you expand your target, i.e. to beyond those who have enjoyed 12 years free education? Thank you, Chairman. I'll tackle the first question. Because there is a summer vacation, so we are calculating the amount for 11 months and not 12. And VTC, 11 months. That is modeled after the CIC model. They are also giving an allowance of for 11 months training program and 1 month summer resets. So that is designed based on that model. Now, as for the question on expanding the target to people beyond the Form 3 leavers, well, we wanted to try it on the Form 3 leavers first, and if the scheme proves successful, we would not rule out expanding the targets to other young people. Next one, Mr. Martin Liao. Thank you, Chairman. About the implementation of this scheme, I think the government should collaborate with the various trades. My first question is, what is the collaboration mechanism between the government and the trades? And my second question is on paragraph 17. It says that the government and the participating industries will provide a grant or allowance for apprentices in the first year of training and the ensuing 3 years of apprenticeship. These industries must undertake to employ trainees who have completed training at a particular salary level and provide them with clear career progression pathways. Is there a must relationship between these two? Is it the case that the industries must undertake to employ trainees and then provide a clear progression pathway before the allowance is dished out? Now, the first year is a full-time program, so it's in the form of an allowance given to students. Now, for the second and third and fourth years, there will be an allowance on top of the salary. Now, for the industries, they would be able to have direct interaction with the participants when they're working in the companies. So upon completion of the program, these participants will become their employees. And we also attach a lot of importance to the fact that the industries must have sufficient motivation. So we set a particular salary level here. So participants may also ask what will happen to them after the first year of employment. So we set the condition that there should be also a clear career progression pathway. So the participants will know what will happen to them in the next several years as well. And for young people, they will have a clear understanding on what happens after the transition period, what will happen when they are being employed fully. So the design of the model is quite good, and we have taken reference from other similar models like that for the construction industry. We are confident that this scheme will work. Mr. Martin Liao, do you have a sort of standing collaboration mechanism with the trades? Yes, we do have such a mechanism. Do you have anything to supplement? In VTC, we have 21 ITAC, and this is an established mechanism. Next one, Dr. Helena Wong. For this pilot scheme in paragraph 10, it sets out the industries to be covered. Are programs related to these sectors being organized by VTC already? What is the tuition fee level? And thirdly, the gender of the participants for these courses. Do you have any statistics? And also, for the participants, are they still eligible for applying for grants loans under the SFAA because they will be on an income? Now, fourthly, the first year is a full-time study, and then from the second to the fourth years, they have to work at the same time. What is the ratio between their study time and the work time? Is it half-half? Or most of the time will be work, and then little time is spent on studying? The gender distribution. Why I asked that question? Well, I know that there will not be any limit or restriction on the gender of the participants, but I know that there is a sort of bias towards the male participants in these courses because they prefer working in these electrical and mechanical industries and so on. So has the VTC considered the gender issue? Now, say if 90% of the participants are male, how are we going to implement the requirement for gender equality under the relevant sex discrimination ordinance? Would the VTC consider organizing a second phase programs which will be more appealing to the female participants, like the elderly care and beauty industry and so on? So I would first take the question on gender. This scheme its aim is to help trades which are lack of short manpower and involve certain skills, and which manpower is much needed by such industries. So we are not trying to differentiate between the two different sexes in implementing the program, and both sexes do work in these industries. So does VTC have any statistics? Yes, a supplement later. Now, this is a pilot scheme lasting for several years, and members have raised many suggestions which have been jotted down, and we want to have operational experience before we can further expand the program in the future. Perhaps a VTC colleague can supplement on the operation side. Agenda. Indeed, well, more male workers than female workers in these industries. But then the VTC offers other programs like retail programs where there are more female participants than male participants.
When students read these courses, they can apply for grant and loan like other students. And when employers release them for attending the courses, usually there will be one full day and 2 evenings release. All these years, please be quick. Please be quick. Speak faster. All these years in the apprenticeship scheme, the employers have already got used to that practice. Next one, Dr. Fernando Zhang. Mr. Ng Leung Sing. Certainly, I support the item. Certainly, there should be more resources for training youngsters who have not followed the pathway of grammar schools and universities. And Mr. Ip Kin Yun said, in terms of education, vocational training should also be emphasized. I'm more concerned about SEN students, with special education needs. This is a pilot scheme, and it is said that this is also for dropouts from Form 3 to Form 6. I believe there are quite a number of students with special education needs. Because of the failure of our education system, some SEN students would have to leave the education system also during those years. I'd like to ask about this pilot scheme and whether you have special measures to recruit SEN students. And do you have special arrangements and considerations for them so they also have the opportunity to take part? Secretary. Chairman, thank you. Thank you for the question. This will be considered as part of the actual operation. Can I defer to the VTC, please? Yes? VTC? If that student can comply with the requirements of the industry, say, for example, if it can work within the elevator shaft, then we do not segregate SEN students from non-SEN students. At the VTC, there are quite a bit of facilities to cater to the needs of SEN students. We have never turned away any SEN students from any courses. Mr. Ng Leung Sing, of course I understand that you would not turn them away because they are SEN students. My question is, within this pilot scheme, have you given consideration to mounting special recruitment with this particular group? Will you have a special procedure to recruit people from this special group? Of course, there is only a quota of 2,000, and I believe the competition will be fierce. But exactly because SEN students may not be very well trained with interview techniques, they may also be autistic. Maybe they are very skillful with their hands, but if you ask them to attend an interview, if you ask them to take part in group activities to test them, then that would automatically preclude them from joining, you understand? We're asking the EAA to also make adjustments for SEN students in public examinations, and I'm asking you about those arrangements. This scheme is no different from the diploma courses or diploma of vocational training, qualifications framework level 3, no different. There will be an interview, and if we find them to be suited to the course and also the particular industry trade, we will not keep them out just because they are SEN students. This is exactly what I'm worried about. You say that you have a level playing field, but the threshold is set with interviews, and sometimes you interview them in English to SEN students who may have a propensity towards autism, and if they have special learning difficulties, well, that threshold would already keep them out. So I'm asking you about the recruitment procedure. I hope there will be special adjustments for SEN students. Next one, Mr. Frankie Yik. Thank you, Chairman. The administration is plowing in more resources to enhance vocational training, and we support that. However, I'm aware that this pilot scheme seems to concentrate on construction-related industries. My constituents are telling me that they face the same problem, especially with regard to ferries and waterborne operations. This scheme does not include them. There is a big manpower gap in those industries, but you also need people to have specialist knowledge, because people will be helped along the way to become vessel captains. So I'm asking the Secretary when you intend to include those industries into the pilot scheme. If the 2,000 places are filled in a short time, will you consider asking for more funding in order to satisfy the demand of other industries? Secretary, thank you, Chairman. That's a very important question. Can I defer to the Bureau staff to answer the question? Thank you, Chairman and members. The VTC also operates navigation-related courses. The VTC and the navigation industry had some communication, and it was felt that the pilot scheme might not be the best way to meet the demand of the industries concerned. Actually, earlier this year, the TH Bureau also operates a special fund to support the training of maritime and navigation personnel. And if necessary, the VTC can supplement it, liaise with the industries, and there are already arrangements which are better suited to the needs of the industries. VTC, our maritime training center, is already providing a 10-day course. Chairman, I know very well what schemes are provided or offered by the administration, and I'm telling you that your schemes do not cover what we want. You have a 20-odd or 20-odd week course to train seafarers, and also the 10-day courses are just for training of sailors. I'm really talking about long-term training so that people can eventually become the ship captain or the first engineer, because you cannot recruit these people from anywhere. Any supplement? Chairman, as we said, the entire spirit is to help the industries and also to allow youngsters to have a future. And we are just starting, and as we go along, we will try to see what we can do and study into the matter. I don't have an immediate answer for the member, but let us be allowed to focus on the pilot scheme first. Well, thank you, Secretary. I hope you will give this some detailed consideration. Next one, Leung Chi Chang. Thank you, Chairman. This is going to cost $144 million, and I'd like to seek answers on certain issues. This scheme is for young people, and on an annual basis, the VTC provides 250,000 places, and in this scheme there are 2,000 places. And you have these rules saying that you would seek industries where there is a shortage of manpower, or that the workers in that industry are becoming aged. But we don't see the actual industries to be included in the paper. Does it mean that after you've got the money, you will go back and see what industries to pick? Well, that would cause some worry. If you are talking about sunset industries, even if you provide the places, nobody would like to take it up. I'm not trying to offend Mr. Stephen Ho, but talking about pig husbandry or farming or sewage clearance, I don't think anyone would like to join those industries. So I'm asking the VTC to show us the detailed information vis-a-vis the industries. But I support the item. It's just that we don't even have the basic information. So you want a supplement of the industries to be picked? Well, yes, I hope they will show us a list. Say in this construction industry, catering industry, or as Mr. Frankie Yik was talking about, maritime and navigation or waterborne transport. You should show us those industries. Secretary, thank you, Chairman and members. The issue is important in that we need to know how we pick and choose the industries. The VTC operates 250,000 places, including long-haul, short-haul courses. But this time around, the pilot scheme seeks to put together study and work. We already know that within the infrastructural industry, there are many trades that are short of manpower. And as you know, the VTC may be operating other courses already, but they are not as in-depth. And we can show you the information of the 21 e-tax, so the member will understand better how the scheme will operate. Thank you. Mr. Lam Tai Fai. Thank you, Chairman. Young people have different potential, and they have different abilities. But not every young person will thrive in the traditional grammar schools in Hong Kong. We have seen many young people who did not make it. They did not want to go further in a grammar school or course. So if you can provide vocational training, I believe you can help youngsters on another platform, which will also be conducive to their career development. I support and also recommend the scheme. However, I have some concerns. This is for dropouts from S3 to S6. It is expected that in 2014-15, they can recruit 2,000 people, and you are concentrating on construction and E&M. But are you confident that you can achieve the target, or are you just going to recruit anyone who is interested? And also, this will be spanning over 4 years. The employers would have to commit to pay $8,000, and actually the industries and the government will also provide an allowance. It's not a big one, but after all, we are making use of public money. What if the students don't want to carry on midway? If for example, the industry is going not to offer a good career, then you should also allow them to leave, because you don't want them to waste time. So how can you monitor the spending of public money in those 4 years? Secretary, thank you. This is something that we have to face up to at the operational level. Can I ask the VTC to answer? VTC. This scheme will be no different from other courses offered to our students. There will be counseling teachers. There will be instructors as well, who would monitor the conduct of the courses, and also students regularly. When they have signed the apprentice agreement, there will be a probationary period of 3 months, and usually the students would remain in the apprenticeship. They seldom drop out. But this is a pilot scheme. How can you be sure that they will stay? This is a pilot scheme. We haven't even given you the funding. How can you say there will be no dropout rate? And you are choosing the E&M and building services, etc. So how can you expect them to stay? I'm asking you a forward-looking question. And do you have the confidence that you can benefit 2,000 people? With regard to the quota, we are quite confident we can achieve the target. This pilot scheme is actually also an apprenticeship scheme. It is, in fact, an apprenticeship scheme. No, the thing is, if people change their mind after 2 years, what are you going to do? But public money have been spent on them. Will you seek to recover the money? We will try to. No, you cannot say you try your best. You have to say clearly whether you are going to recover the money or not. No, we are not going to recover the cost. Secretary, you want to supplement? Yes. Mr. Lam asked a very valid question, and that situation does occur. Number one, students may not be able to accustom to the course, and the instructors would have to help them along, and students will be grouped into small groups for mutual help. I understand this is happening. Secondly, because the scheme is important, the industries would also like to put their best foot forward in order to accomplish it. And number three, if students would want to leave, well, I think the allowances would have been spent by those students, and I don't think we are going to recover from them.
Dr. Lo, I'm an honorary fellow of the VTC, and also a member of the board of the VTC. So I don't have a pecuniary interest here. This is a learn and earn model, and participants are given a subsidy. And I've actually participated in the discussion of this scheme. Now, in the 1970s, I joined the industry, and the apprenticeship programs were very common. And this learn and earn is also a form of apprenticeship program. This comes with a better, more complete design, with the participation of employers, government, schools, and the VTC. Now, if the scheme has to be successful, publicity is very crucial. Now, parents these days hope that their children can really fly high, and they don't really see a lot of opportunities in such industries. And for students who may not succeed in the traditional education, then this is maybe a very good pathway for them. But how can we persuade or convince that the parents, schools, teachers, and students that this is a good pathway as well? Then publicity is very important. And members also raised the question on whether participants will drop out in the middle. So what are you going to do in terms of publicity? What I'm worried is whether you can really take in the right students in your scheme. Secretary, I'll defer to the VTC colleague to first say something, then I'll supplement. Thank you, Chairman. Members said that you're worried about the dropout in the middle of students and also the money paid out. Now, this is a program refined based on our existing programs. And students who have stayed for 6 months, and there is a low dropout rate thereafter. So if we get the funding this time, we will be able to conduct massive publicity campaign. The electrical and mechanical industry, there are around 500 students in the foundation course for that industry. Now, if the funding is approved, then we would publicize among this group of students. Well, we have already the student pool here. We will just add in the Learn and Earn scheme. We do have a group of existing students, and we will conduct publicity once the funding approval is given. Mr. Tankapiu, 3 questions. I understand that the ethnic minority students, they are very interested in construction industry and the E&M industry. Now, I'm worried that within the industry, the old or skilled masters normally use Cantonese to teach the apprentices, and they don't want to use English. So what kind of support measures would you implement so that ethnic minority students can also fare well in the trade or industries? Now, secondary through 3 and 6 school leavers, these students may not adjust well to the grammar school education system. Now, what about students who drop out after secondary 1 and 2? Would the scheme also cover them? And also, what kind of indicators or criteria would you adopt so that you would apply funding again to benefit students after graduating after 2015-16? When the scheme is implemented, we will do follow-up work. Now, if it proves successful, we will not wait until the completion of the program before we consider seeking additional funding. Now, NCS students, perhaps the VTC colleague can talk about the operation side, and also what about the Form 1 and 2 school leavers? Well, we will not cover Form 1 to 2 school leavers. They have to complete the Form 3 curriculum first. We would have another program for them, and the minimum requirement is Form 3. Now, VTC does have other programs which cater for people of different educational attainments. Now, on the indicators for assessing the effectiveness of the pilot scheme, we'll see whether the students can complete the entire program, the ratio of students doing that, and the trades that they are going to join, and whether they will stay within the industries after the completion of the scheme. Now, what about ethnic minority students? Actually, a number of organizations are using English-speaking masters. So with regard to placement, we will try to place the ethnic students in companies which have English-speaking masters. Well, in fact, in some industries, there are companies which can offer that. So you would be very proactive in supporting them, right? Yes. Next one, Mr. Wu Chi-Wai. My question is simple. I noticed that the VTC's programs targets mainly secondary 3 to 6 school leavers. Adults and students in Hong Kong may have different levels of education attainment. Some of them have associate degrees, and some may even have finished tertiary education and would try out different trades and industries. Now, would you be adopting a different approach? Say you will give priority to first secondary 3 to 6 school leavers, and then you will consider other people or applicants or young people with different education attainment, so that the latter would also be given the opportunity to acquire skills in the recommended industries. Now, people say that secondary 3 to 6 school leavers may have limited opportunities, but in fact, tertiary education graduates and may also have limited opportunities. So can you consider giving priority then to secondary through to secondary school 6 school leavers and then accord a lower priority to the others? I think this is a very good question. In paragraph 11 of our paper, we have already made a response on that point. This the target of the program is secondary 3 to secondary school 6 school leavers and eligible adult learners. Also, the VTC offers over 200,000 places targeting people at different education levels, including the associate degree holders. So, eligible adult learners are one of our targets for this scheme. Well, perhaps I have misunderstood what you meant by this term. I may be a Form 5 or Form 6 school leaver, but then I may hide the fact that I have finished university education. Now, if I give that information to you as well, then you may say that I'm ineligible for the scheme. Am I right in saying that? Well, what I'm driving at is for those interested, well, just give them the chance, and they don't have to hide the fact that they have already graduated from university. Now, for VTC courses, now we would just set out the minimum entry requirement. Now, actually, university graduates are studying our higher diploma courses, and also for some of our courses, university graduates are also studying them while they are working. Now, next one, Mr. Alan Leung. The controlling officer for this funding, is it the Secretary for Education? Yes, that's an item under the EDB. Say now in the future, if the audit commission spots any irregularities, the improper spending of public funds, so the person to be held responsible is yourself, is that right? Yes. Do you understand what is controlling officer? Well, for any amount expended, there is a controlling officer accountable. Now, if the secretary, you yourself, is the controlling officer, how can you ensure that there is good value for money in the implementation of the scheme? Because now you are fully delegating the task of implementing the scheme to the VTC. So for the control, what is the relationship between the controlling officer and the implementing organization? How is the accountability system? Is there any warning system? Is there a mechanism to make sure that when there are irregularities, they can be spotted? Let me clarify. This is a public money, and it comes under the Education Bureau. The controlling officer is the permanent secretary. That's number one. Number two, are working with the VTC. Our senior officers have regular exchanges with the VTC. So we would be trying to ascertain the progress on a regular basis of the scheme. So the PS should be held accountable. Chairman, controlling officer is the English name, and the Chinese name is 管制人員, and that has been an established term which has worked for a long time. If the secretary doesn't understand, I'm sure that Ms. Chair can explain to you what that means. Now, when you say exchanges, do you mean having a meal or dinner with them, or what? Well, because we're talking about a commitment of $144 million. Now, in English, it is called the controlling officer. That's number one. Number two, we will be asking for regular reports of the scheme, and the Deputy Secretary also sits on one of the management committee of the VTC, and will try to understand the implementation of the scheme. So the government officials here, can they help? Because he doesn't seem to know how to answer my question. Can you repeat your question? Yes. Well, I want to put on record for the FC's record, who is the controlling officer for this funding, and through what channels, mechanisms, systems, and organization will the controlling officer hold the VTC accountable? Now, if there are mistakes, now in the paragraphs 9 and 10 of the paper, they state clearly that there are industries which will be covered, and these industries may change any time. So how is the controlling officer going to? Sorry, speaker not coming through. Sorry, speaker not coming through. Okay, supplement 1 minute. So I'll answer the question again, and then my colleagues can supplement. Number one, controlling officer is the permanent secretary for education. Second, we will be asking for regular reports, and our colleague will be sitting on the relevant management committee to check the progress of the scheme. We will be overseeing the progress and the development and the effectiveness of the scheme. This will be an established mechanism. Let's take a break for 10 minutes, and then we will continue with the second session.